Hi, and welcome to Centra Scripts. My name is Cami Smith, and I am here with two wonderful nurses who are going to celebrate with me today. We're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. And so today I have with me Debbie and Brenda, and Brenda is actually a nurse practitioner, correct?
Correct.
Okay, a neonatal nurse practitioner.
Yes.
And then Debbie is a bedside nurse, registered nurse over in the intensive care unit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm so excited that you guys have taken your time to come and share your story. So, I'm assuming you haven't been there for 50 years. Neither of you look old enough to be there for 50 years. But the time that you have spent there, I'm sure, has made such a huge impact on you. It's such a special place. So we'll start with Brenda. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your position, what you do here at Centra?
Okay. My history with Centra and Virginia Baptist Hospital has been longstanding. Way back when I was actually born at Virginia Baptist Hospital, and Dr. Peter Houck, who pioneered our unit and started it in October 2nd of 1972, was actually my private pediatrician as a child.
Oh, I love that
So
much.
little did I know then that his work and efforts would influence my own career path.
Yeah.
So I graduated from Lynchburg College, now called the University of Lynchburg, and was employed by Centra in May of 1984.
Okay.
At that time, there were no positions available in our intensive care nursery. So I was hired for coronary care unit at Virginia Baptist Hospital. I did speak directly with the CEO of Centra at that time because I was very interested in having a position in the intensive care nursery.
Yeah.
And he promised me that if a position became available, that they would transfer me.
Wow.
So he actually kept his promise, and I was only 2 months into my orientation in July of 1984 that I was transferred to the intensive care nursery, and I have been there ever since.
Okay, what was that like to step into this place you've wanted to work for so long, somewhere in a place where you were born? What was that like to start on that first day?
Scary. I knew I had only had one day of orientation as a nursing student in the intensive care nursery, and I knew that it was a different field of medicine from any other field that existed, and nothing that I got any training on or education with in school. But
Wow.
I just knew that I was better suited for the tiniest of patients. Adults were just too big for me.
Yeah.
Coronary care unit was scarier than the intensive care
Yeah,
nursery.
I can imagine. Okay. Debbie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to work at Centra?
Well, I graduated in 1985 from the Lynchburg General Hospital School of Nursing, which is now Centra School of Nursing, and I thought I wanted to work with babies in the newborn nursery. I had no orientation to the intensive care nursery at all, so I didn't know much about that. But unlike Brenda, they had no positions available anywhere except for in the intensive care nursery.
Oh, wow.
And so they asked if I would like to try the intensive care nursery, and I've been there for 38 years, 37 years. You've been 38
plus.
years, but 37 years.
So you guys have worked together for a long time.
Yes.
That's really special. Are there a lot of caregivers who have been there for a while as well?
Historically, staff that's come to work in the intensive care nursery have stayed.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of our staff who have been there 20 plus years. So Sometimes when we're at work, we have over 100 years of experience working in the
Wow.
unit.
I'm
So,
sure
yes.
that makes a lot of your parents feel very comfortable, very at ease, because it can be a stressful environment, especially for moms and dads who are waiting or, yeah, there's a lot of trust that's put in you all. So I'm sure it comes together to have that much experience represented. So Brenda, you mentioned that you started as a nurse, but you are now a neonatal nurse practitioner. So
Yes.
when did that jump happen for you?
Like I said, I was hired in May of 1984, and in 1989, Centra funded and supported the opportunity for me to return to school and become a neonatal nurse practitioner.
Wow, that's
So,
wonderful.
33 plus years of my 38 and a half year tenure has been as a neonatal nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow. And that is something that Centra does still offer, correct? For those who are, for continued education in general, but
I think so. For
very cool. So what was that like? So you were going back to school, but you were also continuing to work full time. What was it like juggling that?
Well, actually, for the first 6 months, I was not here.
Oh, okay.
I was sent to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. for the didactic portion
Okay.
of the course, and then spent 3 months of clinical practice at King's Daughters in Norfolk, Virginia,
Okay.
and then returned the last 3 months for my practical at Virginia Baptist Hospital.
Okay.
Very comprehensive program, the world of neonatology in 9 months.
That
And
sounds
then I
like a
had to
lot.
sit and take boards.
Oh my word. Okay. So both of you have always been at Virginia Baptist. So in the years that you have both represented here, what have been some of the most rewarding moments that you've experienced working in the ICU?
Well, our unit is a level 3 neonatal unit, and we take care of babies from 25 weeks gestation and up, and also not just premature babies, but full-term babies that are sick also. And probably the most rewarding thing is to take care of those little 25, 26 weekers, 1 pound, 2 pound babies, and see them develop and get better. And 2, 3 months later, sometimes even longer than that, they are ready to go home. And it's a journey with the parents. And, they, like you said earlier, there are a lot of emotions of having a baby in the intensive care nursery, especially a little one like that. And so we get to take care of the babies. We also get to teach the parents how to take care of those babies so that they're ready to take care of the babies when the babies are ready to go home.
Yes. So lots of interaction with the whole family.
Yes.
I imagine that that's pretty important for the going home date.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. If you can imagine the babies that are there for weeks and months, we get attached to them. The babies, not
Sure.
just the babies, but the families too. And the families get attached to the nurses. So a lot of times on the day of discharge, it's a happy time, but there are a lot of tears too because
Yes.
we've gotten attached. And sometimes those attachments, the families keep in touch with the nurses. Um,
I
and
hope so.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, what about you, Brenda? What have been like a few moments that have been really rewarding or just memorable as you've worked?
I think for me as a practitioner, it's been the team effort with myself and the staff nurses. Sometimes it's very awe-inspiring to realize or to see that our efforts and what we've done make a big difference in that baby's recovery. Um, you know, birth itself is a miracle,
Yes.
and we get to see that every day. But there are many more miracles beyond birth that I feel like I've had the opportunity to witness with how these babies do and how they respond, and the sense of feeling that we get of accomplishment that we've made a difference.
Yeah. What are some challenges that you've experienced in your position?
I think the most difficult thing for myself as a provider, advanced provider, is having to have those difficult conversations with parents. That's hard for them to hear. Sometimes we get bigger babies. We don't treat just premature babies. We have all sizes that end up in our unit. And to have to tell them that their baby requires admission to the intensive care nursery can be very heartbreaking and difficult for the parents to hear. Sometimes a premature infant that's been doing well in our unit suddenly changes and requires additional medical support and a change in the plan of care. That's difficult for the parents too, because often that bears on and influences discharge date. So that means that they're staying with us longer. So it's hard to have to approach the parents. That falls on the neonatologist or the advanced nurse practitioner to keep the parents informed of what's going on with their baby and what it means in terms of their medical care and possible date of discharge. Of course, those babies that have a rough course, and the premature babies the younger that they're born, the more rocky the road can be to home. When they do go home, it's even sweeter.
Yeah. And I was thinking as you were sharing, what a bittersweet moment, kind of like you said, Debbie, where you've gotten to know these families. You're a part of one of probably the biggest seasons of their lives. And so you're so thankful that they get to go home and start that next leg of their journey, but you also have to say goodbye. So I imagine that's very bittersweet and probably a challenge in and of itself.
It is. Like I said, you do get attached to these little babies. And we do try to do primary nursing. So the same nurses tend to take care of the same babies all the time, and they do get attached. And on day of discharge, it is bittersweet. You want them so much to be home with their families, but you've put a lot of time and care and love into getting them to this point, and you miss them.
Yeah, I imagine. Now, you mentioned specifically challenges that you had experienced. Did you have any that you wanted to share just over the years in your position there?
A little bit of what Brenda said, especially the little ones. When we talk to the parents, we do let them know that this is going to be a roller coaster. You have some good days and you're going to have some bad days. Sometimes the babies will have setback, and that is hard when the babies have been going up, and doing well and getting better, and then all of a sudden something happens that seems like a setback, but it's part of that roller coaster ride that the families will go through, because very rarely do the babies just go up and not have some kind of a hiccup in the road. But that roller coaster is hard sometimes.
Yeah. And I imagine there's a lot of education for parents who are learning. I mean, first of all, learning to be a parent
Yes.
is just a huge thing anyway, but learning a new maybe diagnosis or a new treatment for care, or what does that education process look like, or coming alongside of the parents?
Well, as you can imagine, most of the time it's not in the plan for the baby to be in the intensive care nursery unless you're thinking that your baby's going to be premature. And a lot of our parents, this is not the first time that this has happened. So, they are aware of the course. That's right.
Now you were sharing like it's dependent upon whether or not they know they'll be in there or if they have been in there before. Is that common for families to, I don't want to say frequent, but if they have had
Yes.
one child in that unit, is it more common for them to have more?
We see that a lot where
Okay.
we do have siblings. Um, so the parents have had experience with the unit, with other children being in the unit, yes.
Okay.
And if you've been there as long as we have, you eventually see neonates that were in your unit having children themselves.
Yes.
And those children sometimes also come to our unit.
Okay. So I'm sure another bittersweet moment to see someone who has, lived their life after being in this unit and now their child is in it. But then you get to be a part of helping that baby as well. So it's just really a beautiful story that you guys get to be a part of. What is going to be a part of the celebration? Do you guys know some of the things you'll be doing for the 50th celebration?
Well, our unit typically, historically, has a neonatal birthday party for our little graduates
I love that.
every other year, usually in May. And so that's been ongoing.
Okay.
But I know that we're going to be doing some things for the 50th anniversary too. But that it's a very special time when our little babies come back. Sometimes they're even teenagers and they're still coming back to
Oh, wow.
these birthday parties, and we get to see how they've grown. And the families, um, that first part of the baby's birth, the first part of them being a parent has been spent in the intensive care nursery, sometimes for weeks and months, and it's just a very memorable time to them and for us too. So it's good to see them come back.
So what does that birthday celebration look like? So you said they'll come back and visit. Is it just kind of you come together and share stories? Like what does that look like?
Usually, we have a big party out on the front lawn
Oh, it's
at
so
Virginia
beautiful
Baptist
over there.
Hospital.
Yeah.
And it's usually a themed party. One year we had, princesses?
Yes, different themes.
Another time it was farm animals.
Yes.
And we had actually some real farm animals for the children to pet
I
and to
love
see.
this.
So the staff goes out and, mingles with the families, and there's picture taking, there are games for
Oh,
the
so how
children.
does one get an invite? I would love to come and just experience that and maybe give some of these parents, an inside perspective of like what that looks like to come back and celebrate year after year after year. That is very cool.
Yes. Well, we can't send out invitations to
Oh,
everyone.
of
So
course, of course.
there is usually the last few years, if the babies have been in the unit for over a week,
Okay.
and then there are always the ones that always like to come to the birthday parties that we
Oh,
just remember
yeah.
that we definitely invite anybody who wants to come.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you celebrate your babies very, very well. And I'm sure that means a lot to families too, to get to see that they're a part of something so much bigger, coming back year after year and seeing these other families. There must be some camaraderie there as well amongst your families. Does that happen ever? Is there support on site, or do you know of families who do kind of lean on each other when they're going through that experience?
We do have, we do try to match up some families who have gone through the experience with
Oh.
families who are going through similar experiences when we can. And, um, and the parents, when they come in, they meet the other parents who are in the intensive care nursery. Their babies are there, and they compare notes, and I think that they are good support for each other.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, is there anything else that you all would like to share from the many years that you have been able to serve in this unit?
I think one memory of the unit that I will never forget is a delivery that I attended one night, and the baby required resuscitation at birth. And after the resuscitation was over and the baby did well and actually did not need to come to our unit, I spoke with the father, and he said to me that he was so impressed by the work of the team that it seemed like we knew exactly what to do, when to do it. And he actually mentioned it seemed all orchestrated so smoothly, the resuscitation, and that he knew that his baby was going to be okay when I looked up and smiled at my teammates. Little did I realize that he could see that because my back was to him during the resuscitation. But, you know, I will never forget that because I did not realize how closely he was watching in anticipation and fear because he knew that his baby was not in good condition. And I just will never forget that.
Yeah. It's a huge moment, probably one of the most terrifying moments in his life. And so can't imagine that relief that washed over him when he saw that.
Yes.
That is really incredible. Thank you for sharing that. It's moments like that that I love to hear about because it just can be the highlight of something you get to be a part of. And it sounds like both of you love what you do. So thank you for coming in and for sharing and for letting us just be a small part of this 50th celebration. And thank you all for tuning in today to Centra Scripts. I encourage you to check out some of our other podcasts, listen in, and we hope that you'll join us next time.